Hey guys, Mike here. So today we get to answer all your questions. You definitely ask about a lot of stocks like Baba, USMR, I think it was, SMH, and a bunch of others. But I am going to start you off with a chart which shows something called the McClellan oscillator, and what happens when it gets to a certain number over the next like week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And of course, you saw the market yesterday just ripping. Of course, what had happened? We hit the 20-week moving average, took out turbulent lows, told you to watch ES on Thursday night to see if it took out another low, which it did. We went up from there. Remember, it's all about taking out levels. Where's the liquidity at? Okay. And then, of course, they were dropping news like crazy, which we'll discuss tomorrow. Anytime that market stalled, they're like, let's drop some news here. It don't matter whether it's true, untrue, just drop it, baby, and let those algos react because you're already oversold. It just needs a little spark. And they had a couple of sparks going on, one about NVIDIA and one about CPI data. So we'll get into that tomorrow. But let's get right into this. You can see right here, good news is Black Friday special is going on now, 80% off, 1 month free. All you got to do is click the first link down the bottom. This is when I renew mine every year because it's extremely cheap, and do not overpay for something you don't need. Look at the packages. If you don't need 10,000 alerts and all this crazy mess, don't get the ultimate or even the premium for that matter. So look at what you need and go with it from there. Okay. And again, it's super cheap. So check it out. Now you can see right here, this is the NASDAQ composite. That's the McClellan oscillator. When that little bubble thing appears on the NASDAQ composite, you can see that means the McClellan oscillator is sitting down here at this level right here, which is actually less than 62, which seems to be like a magic number. Now, when you look right here, this is NASDAQ after McClellan oscillator falls below 62 past 20 times. First case in 1 month, and you can see 1 week, 2 week, 3 weeks, a month, a boatload of green. The only time you don't really see the green is in the 2022 crash, and then it was April of 2024. But besides that, you can clearly, and then way back to 2018, a lot of green. 2 weeks, a lot of green. 3 weeks, a lot of green. Okay, so 1 month out. So we'll see if that is the case. All right, that's what we got to find out. Again, we're getting this bounce. We'll see if it's going to carry through and stuff. But, you know, and of course, we're coming into a holiday weekend as well, which is usually a pretty bullish week, believe it or not. Real quick, you know, Jack says, hey, what is negative gamma and where is it tracked? The biggest thing to know about negative gamma is very simple. I keep it simple. Again, you take options classes if you want to, but negative gamma is important because it's a key indicator of potential heightened market volatility and the acceleration of price moves in the underlying asset. This is why you saw the VIX go absolutely crazy, one of the reasons, and always does when we go into negative gamma. I track the gamma flip line for SPX on this site called Gamma Labs because it's super cheap. I've showed you before. When I go into quant data, I track the levels right here. This is the interval map for the GEX right here. And so it just kind of, you know, shows, and you can see where the act is, support, resistance, you see where it's building up, all that fun stuff. So that's what I track it for. And you can clearly see, like, this was Thursday, that's the gamma foot line, and this never fails. They always try to hold it. And the market knows where it's at. When it breaks, it's like a waterfall all the time. Super acceleration happens because now all of a sudden market makers are selling to hedge instead of buying to hedge. And so it just changes things up. And of course, they when it starts moving up, they're going to follow. And you'll see these crazy swings. And you'll see the VIX just going absolutely nuts. Because this right here is where you saw us break through the gamma foot line. And the VIX just went absolutely nuts. And it's happened multiple times now. We're rarely ever in negative gamma because we're going up 70, 72% of the time. But when we are, that's the only time I highlight it. Okay, and you can see the VIX just straight up right there. So that's why it's important to understand it. If we're in positive gamma, don't worry about that. It's just when we start to go in negative gamma, you got to be aware of that. Okay. Now, next one here says when the market sentiment is negative, like Thursday, across all assets, including risk on and risk off assets, where does big institutions put their money in, and what retail investors should do? Thanks for your valuable input every day. I appreciate that. But even Thursday, guys, this is Friday, but even Thursday, I was showing, and I showed you in Thursday night's video, money doesn't just leave the market. It's there. Look at Friday. This is when the SPY and the Qs were either flat or negative on Friday, and Thursday was similar as far as like the grocery store stocks I told you about, or the retailers, excuse me. But you can see, I mean, this is where it's going. And if you're looking at SPY and QQQ, you think, wow, what a bad day is going on here. But you look at these others, the Dow Jones Transportation is going up crazy, IWM's crazy, the Dow, RSP, equal weight ETF, and you see Eli Lilly, J&J, look at them, all-time new highs. Like, you know, you go into Walmart, you know, this ain't all-time new highs, but it was going up Thursday, right? That's what I was showing you. And then you start going into these other retailers I told you about, like TJX, right? All-time new high right there. And then we were talking about like Ross Stores, and same thing happened there, all-time new high. And so, again, you go to like Target, they're garbage, right? The money's rotating out of that and going into the winners. And so there's money always rotating. Plus, IBB is another one while I'm thinking about it. Yeah, new 52-week high. And so, again, money's rotating. That's just what's happening. It always happens like that. And so eventually you'll see money start to rotate back into tech. As valuations come down, you'll start to see that, right? Eventually money will start rotating back into Meta. It'll rotate back into Microsoft, always does, and that's just the way it is. Just depends on what level they want to buy it at. Amazon bounced off the 200 on Friday. Money started rolling into it, right? So I appreciate the question. Now, next one says, what time frame do you use the fib? Are you day trading or trading and investing? I use the fib on all time frames, 5 minute, 15 minute, 4 hour, weekly, all that kind of stuff. So anytime you want to use it, it's a magic tool. Hope that helps out on that one. And next one here says, regarding SMH, or anytime you say watch that trend line, see if it holds or breaks, my confusion is, okay, what am I to do if it breaks, buy, hold, still a newbie, appreciate your videos. That's up to you, how you want to do it. And I'll go through this real quick and then say something else about that. But again, with SMH, we talked about this trend line right here. So for example, it depends on what I'm doing. If I'm going to be, if this is a day trade, is it a swing trade, is it, a long-term investment, that kind of stuff. And so it depends on what you're doing. If I'm just doing a short-term swing trade and that trend line breaks, I'm not staying in it. You forget about that. And because then all of a sudden a 10% loss become a 20, 30, 40, 50, even though the next day I could wake up and this thing could pop back up. Like you see it popping down here once it broke support today, and we get some crazy tweet out about NVIDIA, being able to sell their chips in China maybe and all that stuff. But it depends on what you're doing, and it helps to have a plan going in. Like there's a support line. They broke that, and then you get this huge suck up. And it's up even farther than this as I'm recording this, like 6% or something. And so you just got to figure out what's good for you. I mean, are you good with a 10% loss, 15, 25? What are you good for before you cut? Okay, because the last thing you want to do is sit there, and we're all guilty of this at some point in time in our life, and go, oh, it's only down 10, maybe it'll bounce back tomorrow. And next thing you wake up and it's down 30 the next day, and then it's 40, and it's 50, and then you're sitting there going, wait a minute, is it coming back? And then you're going, well, you know what, I'll wait for it to do a big bounce. A lot of people are doing this in Mr. and BMR right now. They're going, I'll wait for it to bounce back, and then I'll try to sell it, for just a smaller loss. And of course, what's happening in Mr. is you going boom, 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 boom for months on months on months. These altcoins, oh, I'll sell right here when it bounces, and it just never gets back there, right? So, and it sucks because I know that it's happened to me multiple times where it's like it drops below this level. You say, okay, if it drops below that level, I'm going to sell it. And then like the next day or over the next week, it bounces back and just starts rocking it, right? Which is, for me, what I always say, and this is tough to do sometimes, like if I need a daily close. Like if I'm doing a swing trade, I say I need a daily close below that level, whatever level I pick. And then I'll just cut it at the end of the day and say, it is what it is. If it bounces back, it bounces back, because it's happened to me multiple times. But there's 10 other times where the thing just kept going down. All right, there's a reason why you have personally have to pick those levels out. So I showed you multiple times those trend lines, like AMD on Friday. I told them, I said, man, this is bounce or die right here, because that trend line has been in place for quite a while. It bounced to the penny on that trend line. I need a daily close below the trend line if I'm swing trading. If it's just an investment, then, and you're not going to touch it anyway. What I use those for is to set an alert and go, oh, man, we're about to break this trend line. We're probably coming down to here. Now I need to start making sure if I already don't have it, like, well, these are going to be the buy zones now. If it does come down, if it's a stock I'm just, not going to sell and just keep riding up, that kind of stuff, you can use it for that as well. But I'm telling you, you will save yourself a whole lot of heartache if you just have a plan going in and stay disciplined to it, and just cut every time when you say you're going to cut, just cut it. And if you say you're going to let your runners run, let them run, okay? If you just have a plan, stick with it, figure out what works best for you, it will relieve a lot of stress, let me tell you. Hope that helps. Now, next one, it says, I got a question. I've got quite a few shares of USAR, lost quite a bit of coin, thinking it will finally rebound, but it just keeps going down. Any thoughts on this? This would be a prime example of what I just talked about in the last question, and it just hit me on this. But, this one that has imploded, right? Like all the rest of these, down 73% in 38 days. And you can see on the visible range volume profile, lost 1426, where pretty much most of the volume is right there. So it's below that. You can see this was a SPAC, SPAC, right? So $10. It's just one of these ones that went up. And so, what was the plan going into it? Kind of got to ask yourself. Now that that's done and over with, you can see it's broke down through all the major moving averages at this point in time. And this one just needs what? The theme to come back, these commodities to come back. And I don't keep up with commodity prices like some people do. So again, look at MP. It's performing, not as bad. But again, it got its balance right there to fill in that gap, but it's down quite a bit as well. I mean, this was, I think, over $100 stock, if I'm not mistaken, at one time. And so it's lost quite a bit. And so it's not just USAR, it's all of these theme stocks, the data center stocks, like, pretty much all of them, power stocks, you name it. And so if it comes back and we get risk on, start getting rate cuts, the market just starts going, woo, then yeah, you can see some move up. I don't know if it's coming back to where, anytime soon where that 40 is, but if it still comes down, there's a gap to be filled down there, which at this point in time isn't too much farther down, but you got to pull your smaller moving averages up and just start looking. This is the the 9 and 21 for me. You can pull up 8 and 20, whatever you want to pull up, but you can see once it gets above it, it usually just kind of rides it up, lets you know the momentum has shifted. And right now, this thing's below the 5-day moving average, the 9 right here, way below the 21 EMA. And so, this is what you got to track. If it gets above it, then you start seeing momentum shift, and that's what you need to see. But just momentum right now is just dead in a lot of these stocks. And so that's just what we got to find out. So I wish I had better news. Hopefully it turns for you. I really hope it does. But, that's where we're at with that one. Now, next comes from Joe. He says, hi, Mike. You very kindly did analysis of KTOS for me a few weeks ago. Given it has come down a fair bit, could you analyze it again where it is now, please? Sure. Defense contractor here, no problem. I think I did this one back where it was like, what was it, 32 or something like that? Maybe, I don't even know. It was a couple months ago when I looked it up. But you see, this is the 20-week moving average, and normal is riding that 20-week up. This is a weekly chart, and you can see where it rode it down. Right now, it's currently below it, okay? Because, this has had a huge run up, got outside that channel. And so, need to, recapture that, of course. Here's your major moving averages, below the 100, below the 50. 200 is right down there, as you can see. And what I'm going to do is put a trend line there and then put this area right here, which clearly is a buy zone. It was support before. So if it does come down, 61.23 is where they barred it before. It was a resistance. They flipped to a support area. So again, if it comes down, look for that right there. Also, the 200 moving average right there at 54.21. And so, and these are taking a breather, right? They've come up and look at that thing. That thing was just running like crazy. And so you can see above, if it does get going again, where the levels are, 68, 72, 28. We'll mark one out right there as well, around the 152 area. And you see the momentum. It's just rolled over on those higher time frames at this point in time, like everything else, just taking breathers. Money rotating out of it into other things that are clearly defensive, like retailers and things of that nature. And you'll get the monthly as well. It's starting to slow down, but I'm not. I'll be honest with you, I don't know. I don't invest in defense contract stocks, so I don't know if there's actually like a seasonality for these things. So let me know, as far as that part is concerned, what you know about defense stocks and what you see in this one as well. Appreciate that. Now, next comes from Crispy Dollar here. He says, do you think Ethereum was manipulated to drop, and now BlackRock announcing their own Ethereum ETH? And this is what he's talking about, if you're unaware of it. BlackRock files for state Ethereum ETF as industry competition intensifies. The one thing I found out about this one was that like BMNR might be screwed, because like Bitmine faces a $1,000 loss per ETH due to BlackRock's plans. Feel free to pause this and read this, but it puts a lot more pressure on them as well, because it's just competition, right? And I've never wavered, and this is a hill I'm willing to die on, that I said as soon as it happened, and I've been saying it ever since, I was not happy about BlackRock or any of these major institutions getting involved in the crypto market. I sure as heck wasn't happy with the government getting involved, trying to regulate it and everything else. And you kind of see what's going on now. Because I said right then, I think the 4-year cycle is done. I think these regular altcoin cycles are toast at this point in time. And so far, that's really what's played out. It's just been a mess. And I forgot, I think it was one of our viewers was saying, it's kind of crazy. You keep talking about these inflows and inflows and inflows into crypto, and yet these things aren't going up at all. They keep going down and stuff. So, it's just been a mess. But hey, some people like it being regulated. Some people don't. I wasn't a fan of it, them getting involved, because I kind of knew what was going to happen. Is it a coincidence? They all get involved, and all of a sudden we had the largest one-day liquidation in the history of crypto. Really? Is that just a coincidence? Maybe so. We'll find out whether or not they manipulated now. Who knows? I can't prove any of that stuff. I can't prove any of that stuff. So, we'll find out. We'll see where we go from here. That's for sure. But please let me know your opinion on that. I really want to know about it, especially if you're big into crypto. Now, next it says, what are your thoughts on Baba with their ER coming next week? I think he's talking about the market moves and stuff like that. And when you look at BABA, clearly it fell out of this pattern right here. It's been falling ever since, like most of the Chinese stocks and all of them. And yes, if our market's under pressure, it's going to get pressure on these ADRs right here. That's just the way it is. You can clearly see, though, we'll bring this trend line out. So I think it's going to come in handy at some point in time, maybe after ER. You can see it's just following these levels down. We did bounce right here, and that level goes pretty far back. So not a surprise we got the bounce there. We'll see if it can hold that. Again, earnings, like you said, are on Tuesday of next week. And so, if we get the bounce, I think if we get the bounce, or we have good ER and the market loves it, we're going to test this trend line right here between 166, 170 right there, and see if we can break above going back to 181. That's only about an 8% move from here, which is not a lot on an earnings move or anything. But if we don't, then, and that's the level I was talking about. It goes years back, actually. You can just keep going farther and farther back, all the way to like 2000. I think it's like 18 or something, and it still comes into play as support. So, important level there. If you lose it, you can see you got those weekly FEGs, which we're tearing into right now. You draw some fibs on this. You aren't quite at the golden pocket from that last rally up, but very close to it. You are in a discount now. And so if earnings doesn't go well and you pull a JD or some of the others, then clearly we're definitely coming down to the next level down there, which is going to be around 138.44. We'll put this trend line in here as well. And so that's your two options when it comes to earnings right now. And also the 200 moving average is also right where that trend line is and that support level. So good confluence there if it does drop. Now, next one says, can you go over fun? Fun is Six Flags. And boy, Six Flags stock is not very fun. Holy moly. Woo! That's some capitulation, isn't it? Look at that right there in 2020. I mean, you needed to shut down the world to have it over there. But this one, oh man, as the market's just run up, look at this thing. That is crazy. But you took out a major level. You took out a 2020 level. Mark those levels out, because when you take them out, you will get a bounce. That's what's happened so far. It's a mediocre bounce, but that's what happened. And again, where else can it go but up, to be honest with you? Sad thing about this one is, man, if the market does slow down, I mean, not the market, but the economy in 2026, like really slows down, we start to feel it, man, this thing is going down even farther. Because ain't nobody going to amusement parks when they're trying to save money and stuff. And you can see it's a big level going all the way back to like 1995 right here. So you can see why taking that level out was huge. And so, can you get a bounce? Maybe. I mean, maybe. But when you pull up momentum, this thing got no momentum. I mean, you got to go down to the lower time frame to start to see any kind of semblance of trying to at least bottom based out here, right? I mean, this is definitely one of those ones where you got to let market structure form out. I mean, do what you want to do. But when you look at it, I mean, that's the 5-day moving average, still declining, not even above the 5-day moving average yet. That's the 9 EMA. That's the 21 EMA. I mean, oh man, yeah, you got to let this thing prove itself, because just because something's going down this far don't mean it can't go back down. So it's all about higher lows, higher highs, and getting above at least a 5-day and proving itself and getting that 5-day to turn back up. Okay, so again, I don't know the seasonality on this one either, if it even has one. So let me know what you think about that one. Now, next it says, can you check Verizon as a safety stock with a dividend of 6.7%? Thanks, Mike. I'm assuming you're just talking about the chart, but this being a dividend play, as soon as I saw this, what do you see, guys? A range-bound dividend stock. I mean, going back to December 2023, pretty much. There you go. I mean, you're pinned from, pull this all the way down here, from 37 to 47. So you just kind of pinned in a $10 range. I'm assuming that's what you got this for, as a dividend, and not trying to, worry about share increase or decrease or gains or losses there. But when you look clearly, if we break below this area right here, then you can head down and test that 29.90 area. If you break above 55, 61, somewhere in there is what you're looking at. So just watch out for that one. Now, last one here says, from Dr. Marcus, question for Saturday's video. As you may know, I haven't any accounts for different purposes, and one account I use and love is the selling of calls and puts. I know you do this as well. Just wondering which 3 to 5 stocks you tend to do this with the most, which are your favorites and most comfortable with. Well, for me, it's always been number one was Tesla, and throughout this year, I've just changed it up, honestly. Whereas it was UNH when they did those major drops, and I could get the premium for it, and I felt good with the charts and where the bottoms were and where I felt comfortable picking up the stock, because I never sell cash puts on a stock I don't feel comfortable with. Another one was CoreWeave for a while, but luckily Like the last time I did it, I took like a small loss, and I said, let me get out of this because I had a $100 cash secure put, and I was up about 40%, and then it came down minus about $200, I think it was a very small loss. And I said, you know what? I'm getting out of this because the chart don't look good. Thank God I did, because you see where CoreWeave is at now. And so used to do Upstart, stopped that a long time ago. That thing's a mess. Again, some others. I mean, and usually what I'm looking at is just at that time where it's these high beta, good premiums, or they look stable, they're about to go up kind of stocks. The momentum's with them, and because I like to close these things out pretty fast. And so that's kind of how I do it. But Tesla's by far number one because of the premium and stuff. So again, but with this drop, I mean, there's going to be a lot of stocks where you look at now, if we actually do start to move back up and go, oh, look at these premiums right here. And, if we start to shift back up, that's the big question, then boy, you can end up earning some quite a little bit of money there. Or if you think we're coming back down, you think there's certain levels you want to pick stocks up on, then of course you can sell at those levels and then come into the stock by doing that and have the market pay for some of the shares for you. So, but that's where I'm at. Let me, if you guys do that, let me know your favorite 5 stocks you're doing on as well. Okay. Now don't forget, again, click that link down the bottom. Black Friday sale, 80% off right there. And tomorrow I'll set up the week for us. So please do me a big favor. Just hit that like, subscribe button on your way out. Think about signing up for the membership. Left the McDonald's combo at $7.99. Just hit the first link down in the bottom. I guess right now it'd be the second link, excuse me. And I will see you guys tomorrow to set up the week.